So, the MG4, is it as bad as what the Whatcar magazine report says it is? In this video, I'm going to give you my honest opinion as to what I think about the report, some of the issues with the car, and some of the good points of the car. And I've had mine for 5.5 months now. I drive it pretty much every single day. And so I think I can now give you a honest opinion as to how the car performs. So let's start off with the report. So the report scores the car out of customer satisfaction and reliability. They gave it a score out of 100. They interviewed something like 30,000 people to get these scores, and they rated it out of 100. And unfortunately, the MG4 came out worst of the EVs on the market in the UK, with a 69% score. Now, where the report falls down a little bit is that, and this is just my criticism of the report, is it doesn't tell me, so many of the cars owned were MG4s. So if you've got 1,000 cars, you've got one person complaining about it, gives a really low score, that's going to skew the results. If you sell a lot more cars and you've got one person out of 10,000, then that gets diluted. So it doesn't really break that down in that way. This is just basic scores out of 100. The other issue with the report is that it doesn't take into account the cost of the car. Now, this is a £26,000 thereabouts car. I've got the SE model. It's the lower end one, but it's about £26,000 to buy. You can't really compare the customer satisfaction and reliability with a £60,000 car. Now, things like Polestar and Mercedes, they topped the satisfaction charts. They were in the 90s, but they cost a lot more than what this car does. So to me, you can't really compare them, because it's a £60,000 car. Yes, it should be better. It's like buying a Ford Focus and then buying a Bentley and expecting them to be the same. They're not. They're not going to be the same. The other issue I have with the report is it doesn't really tell me what kind of issues people were having, and whether they're hardware issues, such as mechanical faults, or whether they are software issues.
He is the one
Within the controllers of the car. If they're mechanical issues, then that's a big problem, because that's going to require mechanics and garage time, spare parts, replacement parts, things like drives, head unit failures, transmission failures, battery failures. All those are physical hardware. If it's software based, such as, and I'll give you an example in a second, then they are quite easily fixed and rolled out. So they're not such a big problem. There are annoyances, but they're not a big problem. So, to give you an example, I use this star button on my steering wheel here, and I usually set that up to control the air conditioning. So I'll press the button, I can use the toggle, turn the temperatures up and down, and I can turn the fans up and down as well. Okay. But for some reason, and I don't know why, and I can't replicate it in a way that tells me what's doing it, it gets amnesia. It forgets. So I press the button and, like, no, yep, nothing at all. It's completely forgotten that I programmed it up, so I have to go back into the console and I have to then reset it back up to tell it that it's to do the temperatures. Yes, it's not a big problem, but it's annoying. So things like that, if that's all people have got to complain about, then that report doesn't make sense. Okay, so some of the good bits about the car. It's £26,000. That's the big thing. It's probably one of the cheapest EVs you're going to find on the market for its size, its class. It's cheap, one of the cheapest you're going to find. MG now state that the car comes with a lifetime warranty on the battery, so the battery will last longer than the bodywork of the car. Not many other manufacturers, if any, have come out and stated that about their cars. And this came about because there's such a lot of negative press out there about batteries and you're having to replace them for tens of thousands of pounds when actually it's just not true. So MG have said, right, we'll warranty all the cars, all the batteries for as long as the car lasts. Okay, which is brilliant. Gives you a little bit of peace of mind. The dashboard and in the interiors are really nice. It's a soft, pushy, kind of foamy feel. It's quite nice. It's piano black. It feels nice. It's very quiet. It's very, very quiet. However, this door is hard plastic, which is great because it's hard wearing. However, it's kind of got like a pattern to it. And if you wear a t-shirt, you end up filing your elbow down, which gives you a very smooth elbow, but it leaves a residue of skin on the door, which doesn't look particularly nice. That's, again, it's not a major problem. It's just a little bit of annoying when you're driving in a t-shirt because that tends to be where I rest my elbow. As far as the equipment's concerned, this is the basic model, the SE model. It doesn't come with any sat-nav built in, but I can plug into the USB ports and I can run CarPlay off there. Now that's another problem. The two ports are hidden. I can't see them. I have to look down and see where they are. This console's in the way. The port that controls the head unit, or what CarPlay talks to, is the old USB-A connection. There is a USB-C, which all new modern phones use, but MG decided to make the USB-A one the main port. The USB-C is for charging only, which isn't brilliant. There's more functionality with a USB-C, and it's faster and it charges faster. But they've decided that they're going to use the USB-A instead. So if you've got a brand new phone, you've got to now go and find an old cable with USB-A and USB-C. And there are compatibility issues with some cables as well that people have reported. A little bit hit and miss as to whether the cables work. But again, that could be a software problem, not necessarily a hardware problem. The other thing about this console is it's piano black, which means that it can get marked and scratched quite easily with rings and watches and so on. It also protrudes out quite far, and if you've got a bottle or a drink, you've kind of got to lift it and put it down on an angle just to get it to fit in. So again, if they'd moved this back a little bit or tilted it in a way that gave you a little bit better access, that would have been better. But it's not the end of the world. These are just little gripes. The design of it is Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. I personally love it. I like the angles on the car, on the panels, on the front wings. The headlights are sharp and pointy. The back looks really nice with the crisscross red LED lights. It's a nice looking car to me. quite aggressive looking, especially the higher end models which got the fins on the back, like the X Power. But not everybody likes that. Now, I'm not really fond of the new Teslas. They've kind of got a little bit middle-aged spread about them. They're quite round and curvy and cuddly. Now, I prefer a car that looks a little bit more angry and aggressive, and the MG4 does that quite well. It's fast off the mark as well. All the torque is there from the beginning, right up to the maximum speed. It just pulls all the time when you're accelerating. It is rear-wheel drive, and the weight is the battery is distributed across the whole length of the car. So this was one of the first EV cars where the chassis was built around the battery, rather than having a car and trying to convert it to an EV and sticking the batteries here, there, and everywhere. So the floor is pretty flat, and the weight distribution is across the whole length of it. The wheels are quite far back, so that the turning circle is really, really good. You can turn around in most streets in one go. It's really good to drive around town, around car park, places like that where the turning might be a bit tight. But the look of it is quite impressive, especially some of the colours like the bright blue and the bright orange. I really like them. I went for the bog standard white because that's what they had in stock, and I'm quite impatient. Now, as far as the car's concerned, like I say, I've had it for about 5.5 months. I've had no issues with it whatsoever. It just drives. It charges up fairly rapidly. I think the most I've had out of this on a Tesla charger is about 110 kilowatts per hour, which gave me enough charge for what I wanted to do in 10-15 minutes, which is brilliant. The average depends on how you drive it. So when I'm doing longer distances, I tend to get around about 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour. At the moment, because I'm just driving around town and to recording this video for you, I'm actually averaging 4.3 miles per kilowatt hour at the moment, which is like the old equivalent of the old MPG. So around town, it's very, very economical to drive. It's a car that just performs. And you can get the extended range model of this as well. So I get an average about 180 to 200 miles per full charge. You can get the higher range ones as well, which gives you that longer distance. So I hope this video was of use to you. Please like and subscribe. It helps me to grow the channel, but it also means that you don't miss out on any of the other videos that I release as well. And I am a tech geek. I love technology, so some of the videos you'll find on my channel may or may not interest you, but I quite like things like retro gaming, 3D printing, astrophotography, just general technology really interests me. So I say, if that kind of thing fits with you, like and subscribe to the channel and you won't miss out. So thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye.